All right. Well, I'm a little bit late to the game. But that doesn't change the fact of everything that happened, right? Went down to the wire. I said we were going to end up clearing this one out. Did not happen, but still an interesting game nevertheless. Um, Definitely, I would say it was fun. Tatum logic was good. Uh, it went down to the wire. We ended up dropping this one 124 to 126. It's been a little minute. It's been a little minute. Chris Jackson was good, guys. Man, oh man. They said stretch where we put Cody and John. Took Hendricks out. Why? There was a few experimental stretches that I saw during the game. That's one of those little interesting caveats that we had. To be honest with you, I didn't hate it. I did not hate it. I do wish there were some other things that happened, but you know, we're not going to knock that too much. Overall, let me look at these game totals real quick. Uh, Aldama ended up cooling off a little bit as the game went on, but in the beginning, yeah, he was slicing and dicing us. Overall, he ended up in 31 and a half minutes, 10 of 16 shooting, 5 of 10 from three. At one point, it was like 5 of 7 or 5 of 8. So the end game totals looked a lot better than overall to me, but excuse me, yeah, 27 for him though, leading them. That if you told me that Aldama was going to lead the Grizzlies in scoring today, I would not have bought that stock. That just didn't make sense to me. Partially because I didn't think Aldama was really like that for real. Secondarily, I just didn't think he was like that for real. To be honest with you, Desmond Bain obviously with his 24. John Morant came on late with 22. Him 7 for 12 from the field. Desmond Bain was interesting. 8 of 20 from the field, 4 of 10 from the 3-point line. But that's the thick of it for our lovely opponents. We are appreciative of them, even though they handed us. These are the kind of games, honestly, where I would say these are the kind of losses that I'm willing to accept on a nightly basis. Like, yes, tanking is the goal or the expectation, but to me, losing like meaninglessly and dropping games by like 15 to 25 points is not going to be something that's going to be entertaining to watch. Like, this was objectively one of the better losses that we will end up enjoying. Obviously, defensively, there were things that we could have done better, right? You don't want to sit there and give up 125, 126 points every single night. That's not very good. But for the most part, there were some good stretches where I really appreciated what we had going on. There were some stretches where things got a little bit shaky, and there were some stretches where it was like, all right, we need to buy a bucket. If you told me at halftime Keonte George would be 0 of 9 from the field and have 0 points, I'd be like, calm down. He struggling a bit, I could see that, but nothing at all on almost 10 field goal attempts, kind of crazy business. In the end, he still was bad. 3 of 18 from the field, 1 of 6 from the 3-point line. He was 5 of 9 from the free throw line, which I found to be interestingly rough. I was expecting if he was going to take those 9 in my head, I'm thinking more of him hitting 7 of them, 7, maybe 8. I do view him as being a decent overall scorer, and I would say that the preseason really fooled us into thinking that he was really going to be that guy. He was really going to get it done, and put simply, that was not what we saw today. I will give him a little bit of credit though, because from a turnover standpoint, in his 31 minutes, he only had 1. Meanwhile, you had Colin Sexton with 4, right? Taking it a step further, Taylor Hendricks in his 28 and a half minutes had 0. And honestly, in the first half, Taylor Hendricks did not really much of anything. offensively, specifically. He also played, I want to say, like 9, almost 10 minutes in the first half. So it was interestingly pleasant to see him finally get things going in the second half. He ended up being 4-7 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3-point range, went 1 of 2 at the charity stripe. So not terrific shooting the rock, but definitely better than what we were expecting, considering the fact that he did nothing in the first half. He came on late. Let's see. Just to go through what y'all said. Great game. We lost. Yeah. We had a stretch. Yep. Tatum said, I'm happy, extremely happy with the result. Not the loss, but I think we did pretty good. Kessler looks amazing, and we found a cheat code with lobs to Lauri. I'm not going to lie. Kessler looked really, really, really freaking good for us tonight. Definitely better than I was expecting to see out of him. I was impressed. If we could get this Kessler every single night, I would say that the trade rumors would probably get flushed down the toilet, and that's a little bit of an exaggeration because those things are always going to exist, but we would feel more secure in his position with the team as a cornerstone piece. 6 of 7 from the field, 4 or 5 from the free throw line. I repeat, 4 or 5 from the free throw line. I don't think he did that once last season. That's really, really impressive. He ended up also having 14 rebounds, 6 of those being offensive. He had 1 assist, 1 steal, 5 blocks, all of which came before like the 8 or 7-minute mark in the third quarter. So defensively, his impact was definitely felt. And then again, he only had 2 turnovers. So when you're talking about a Walker Kessler that can give you a double-double, he's going to be impactful defending the paint. That's the Walker Kessler that you need. That's the best Walker Kessler. And he did this in under 30 minutes, 29 and a half minutes. He did this. That's not really normal for him. You would go as far as to say this was an anomaly game for him. I would love to say that this was more than that he is expected to be, this would be a Walker Kessler regular game. I would love to be able to say that, but I don't know whether or not it is or whether or not this is just one of those. He came out the gates showing us and giving us a taste of what we could have, but we're not going to get it every night. You know what I'm saying? But either way you look at it, I feel like in his 30 minutes, he was extremely impactful. This was probably the most solid game I've seen him play in a very long time. And to be honest, I don't think it gets that much better for him specifically. Excuse me. I said, need to send Cody to the dealer. We've seen enough. Coleman, calm down. Hold on. We got now in his 20 minutes. There was 2 interesting things that I saw today. Well, 3. If you on, I guess not necessarily the bad side of things, but also not the positive side of things. Number 1, Colin Sexton did not attempt a 3-pointer at all this game, despite his high efficiency on a very solid volume last season. Secondarily, we did not see Cody Williams attempt a single shot in almost 20 minutes of action. I mean, yes, he did have the one that he got fouled on, and he ended up hitting both free throws, but he did not end up taking like a regular just field goal. And then tertiarily, Jordan Clarkson, 7 of 16, which fair enough. He came on late. The first half was not for him. The second half, though, he made sure he was going to get his. And I will give him credit where credit is due. Last year, we had an issue with him being extremely turnover prone. He said to start out this season, at the very least, game 1, I'm going to be positive. And he had a 7-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, which if you told me that was going to happen, I would not buy that at all. But it did, And while we didn't win this game, those are like the little things on top of a couple other people. John Collins, though, missing all 3 of his threes, going 5 of 12 from the field. Not a terrible performance, not a great overall performance, as I would like to say, but there were just a lot of little wrinkles here and there that there was necessarily appreciation to be had for, if that makes sense. So why are the Jazz not wearing the new uniforms? Interesting selection. I guess you just can't break them out too early. think it was switching them on stretches to guard Morant. If it was the first half and Cody at 3 fouls, so we took him out. Okay. We lost, but the game was mad good. Walker Kessler looked amazing. Absolutely. Hendricks looked like prime KD. Hendricks had definitely a really, really good second half, like I said. The first half, I was actually perplexed because considering I think he only attempted 1 or maybe 2 field goals and missed both of them in the first half. But he just wasn't overall involved in the overall shot diet that was had. So it was just nice to see them get involved with him specifically offensively late, particularly in the second half, just because it showed that there were going to be times where you were going to see him get specific opportunities that would end in him either making or missing a shot. Because the biggest gripe we have about Taylor Hendricks is not his defense. We know he plays defense. We know he likes playing defense. And when you have a guy that enjoys playing defense and plays it at a very high level, you don't really have to question on a night-to-night basis. Now, is he going to have some bad matchups? 1,000%. But there's never going to be a situation where you look at him and you're like, across the board, he was just bad defensively. That's just not going to be something we're going to see from him. But offensively, at the end of the day, no matter how good of a defender you are, you're going to get scored on here and there. You're going to turn the ball over offensively. Sometimes we get that. But at the same time, we also need to see you trying to match your volume out, because even if you hold somebody to 8 points, if you score 4, you're still a negative in your matchup assignment, in my book, at the very least. And seeing him hit his shots later on in the game just meant a little bit more, because he was able to obviously get into double figures and make something a little bit more positive out of his overall situation. And he wasn't a terrible rebounder, having 5, 2 of his being offensive. Not a super memorable overall performance, but still enjoyable nevertheless. It said just a bad start to the game. Couldn't make shots. It was Keonte's 3 of 18 that killed us. It was bad. It was bad. At some point, if you're cold, don't you have to stop shooting? You raise a very good point. And when you look at Lauri Markkanen, Lauri was the first half, even I would go as far as to say like the first 6 or 7 minutes into the third quarter, when I was looking at his numbers specifically, he was lights out, man. In the end of the game, 9 of 15, 4 of 7 from 3-point range, 13 of 14 at the free throw line. Not only was he at the rim getting to the basket, but he was also getting fouled. The refs were calling fouls for him, and then he was hitting his free throws, which is lovely to see, because, I remember some games last year where he would be in position to get a lot of foul calls, and the referees just wouldn't blow the whistle for him. And whether you like it or not, it was just one of those things that happened. Now, rebounding wise, he also had 9 boards. One of those was offensive, but it didn't really matter. That's 9. That's almost a double-double, right? He had 2 assists. He only had 2 turnovers. Didn't have any steals or blocks, but overall 35 points and the highest box score plus minus on the entire team at a plus 16. I mean, if this is the Lauri that we'll see in our losses, great basketball, because no matter how I look at this game, this was objectively not a bad overall game. This was a game that was enjoyable to watch. We ended up losing, so I guess you could say we kind of accomplished our goal. 1 out of 82 right now, but that means I have to adjust my my prediction, because I definitely thought that the Grizzlies was going to be a game where we were able to get it just off the strength of the fact that Ja Morant and that team was not consistently playing together in meaningful basketball games in quite some time. But here we are and things of that nature. He said, so I was more surprised we got back in and kept it competitive, even with Keonte struggling. To me, this gave the energy of last season. We had that stretch where Jordan Clarkson was starting and he was being so incredibly inefficient, but Lauri was being efficient as a starter. And then you had Colin Sexton off the bench shooting mildly less shots, but also being very efficient from the field. But because of Lauri Markkanen's greatness, it kind of works out because he shoots so well that even if the other person shoots like very mediocrely, or in this game just flat out bad, it kind of meets in the middle to make sense. Like between the two of them, if you look at Lauri, you say he was 4 of 7 from three, and then you look at Keonte George, you say, dang, he was 1 of 6 from three. But you combine them and you say, well, the duo was 5 of 13 from three. That doesn't sound too bad, right? That sounds like a stomachable number. And to be honest, it is. But if I were to tell you what the split was, you'd be like, okay, yeah, he needed to stop shooting the rock. Similarly, Keontae's 3 of 18 versus Lauri's 9 of 15. We're talking about an overall 12 for 33, which granted is not a great number, but it's definitely a lot better than just looking at those raw numbers for Keonte George specifically. And then you say, oh, Lauri Markkanen definitely carries the total, which, to be quite frank, he does. Let me see. We said Keontae's biggest problem is that he gets the smallest amount of contact and throws up a stupid shot, expecting the whistle every time, and he won't get it. Absolutely. That's something that he how do I put this? Even in the summer league and in the preseason, he was getting a decently favorable whistle that will not be there for him in the regular season. I like his confidence. I like his willingness to shoot certain shots, but you have to hit the shots more often than not. And this is one of those games where he just quite honestly didn't. And he will have a strong learning curve. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's going to shoot like this every single game. I'm not ready to say that because in the preseason and the summer league, I saw improvement from him. I saw the character and the maturity of somebody that was taking the next step forward. And so I'm inclined to believe that Keonte George was more so the real Keonte George than this one. Now, is he going to have a couple more of these performances? Absolutely. But next game, I think he's going to shoot, number one, less shots. 18 shots is crazy. That's a crazy diet of shots, especially considering he played 31 minutes. Lauri Markkanen played 34 and a half. And we're talking about Lauri only took 15 shots and he got 18 off. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, granted, Jordan Clarkson also shot 16 shots in just 25 minutes. So there's room for interpretation there. But I think Keonte George, number one, will shoot less shots. And I think regardless, he will be in a position where he feels like he needs to be more selective with what he shoots. But on a secondary note, if he's going to burp up poor shots, right? And let's say the referees do give him a foul because of the contact, they're like, you know what, there's enough there to go ahead and blow that whistle. He can't keep shooting 5 of 9 from the free throw line. That's out of character for him. Like seeing 5 of 9 on paper just looks wrong. Like that looks like a Walker Kessler from the free throw line type moment. And honestly, last year Walker Kessler probably would have given us 4 for 9. So for him to bait for a whistle I'm not going to say he did it every time, but there was a very sizable amount of plays where he would be doing that. For him to do that and then also shoot 55.5% from the free throw line on a decent number of attempts, that's not good. That's not the Keonte George that we want to know and want to love, right? But again, I have to be able to look at the silver lining there, and he actually gave us one today. Again, like I said, those 7 assists to only 1 turnover, compared to like even Jordan Clarkson's 7 assists to 2 turnovers. That's what we needed out of those guys. And I'm greatly appreciative that they gave us something to look at, particularly from a Keonte George standpoint, because we're looking for that maturity. We're looking for that next gear, that next level. Did he get better this offseason? Last season, he shot 39% from the field and 33% from three-point range on a large number of shot attempts, right? This season, to start of the season, already shot worse than that, right? He shot literally the same from the field and three-point range on a scaled level of 16.7%. I'm just hoping that over the next 2 or 3 games, we get a more realistic balancer. Maybe we get one game over this next, we're on a kind of a homestand. Next game's home, then we go on the road, then we have 2 more at home, then we have 4 on the road up through 9. Then game 10 is going to be on the Suns at home. So I'm expecting him to have one really, really good game over these next 9 games. And then the rest of them will be kind of like middle of the road, like Rocky Hill, which is fine, right? We don't have expectations as a team to win games this season. I know that. I understand that. I'm as much as I don't enjoy watching losing basketball, there's tasteful losing basketball, and then there's just losing basketball. And I think this is one of those games where it's like, okay, I can stomach the fact that we just couldn't close this out. But as a team and watching individual players, there's something I learned about the majority of everybody on the roster today, or there's something that somebody reminded me they could do. And I'm pretty okay with that. I'm not gonna lie. We said we did good on Edie, just a couple rebounds. Edie got caught in foul trouble crazy early. And I don't know if I just didn't expect it or it makes sense in principle. And when you have a certain guy that has the ability to help the other team benefit the game and just control the glass, because the glass is important, right? Or there's somebody that's just a really just solid big. They have a really strong interior presence, whether it be offensively or defensively. And you're like, you know what? We're gonna get him in foul trouble so they can't overplay his minutes. Because if he's off the court, we have a stronger advantage. I like my guys over anybody else they have. But first, we have to put them in foul trouble. It's hard. It sounds simple, but it's not always the easiest thing to do. And the referees will not always help you in that process. So the fact that we were able to do that to contain him and to force him into making mistakes just speaks volume to the maturity of things going forward. And I remember Walker Kessler, the last time he saw Zach Edey, did not play like this Walker Kessler. So the fact that he was able to do this in his 29 and a half, almost 30 minutes, and then you had Zach Edey only being able to play 15 minutes, that's exactly what you need out of these boys. And honestly, I'm pleased. He said, because he was struggling in a position of Collins all day. It was wild to watch. Yeah. Rookie year, this felt regular. Last year, not so much. He had a couple 8 or 9 block games. He would get 20 points regularly. He even had 1 or 2 20-point, 20 rebound games. Yeah. If this, like I said, if this is the Walker Kessler we can expect on a nightly basis in less than 30 minutes of night, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to feel away. My expectations in my head will change very drastically, actually, because like this is what you need. Because it's like, even though he can't give you shooting, today, if he was 4 or 5 from the free throw line, you mean to tell me, even though you can't shoot, you're going to finish at the rim. You're going to be aggressive at the rim. And when you do get sent to the line because you were aggressive at the rim, you're more than likely going to make that shot go in. I'll be content if he shoots 65% from the free throw line. 65. I would love for him to shoot like 72-ish% by the end of the season. But as long as he's making more than he's missing and he's not always splitting, going 4 for 8, 2 of 4, 1 of 2, like every single time, I'm going to be pleased with the version of Walker Kessler we get, because he's going to be aggressive, right? And then he's going to be effective at the free throw line. And that's just enjoyable to watch all around. Dink, what's good, my guy? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Yeah, yes, we dropped it, but I guess in some people's minds, this was an achieved goal. That was a means to an end. We said, James said, take note, let's go. Yeah, Kessler played awesome. Mm-hmm. How did Hendricks look so far as movement with his larger build? He was quite fluid. Now that you mention it, Pete, he was quite fluid. And let me see actually his foul count before I sit there and say anything too over the top. Yeah, 3 personal fouls in about 29 minutes. So he was effectively what I was hoping he would be. Everything about it. Defensively, I liked what he was providing. He didn't seem too winded. Now, obviously, 28, 29 minutes isn't the greatest number to judge somebody on based on just their sheer number of, the overall windedness that a character could have in a game. But I would like to say that there is a certain expectation that I've now kind of built a mental model of who he looks like as a player. And tonight, him giving us, what did he give us? 12 and 5. I don't think it's crazy to sit there and say this is a good expectation to have for him. Now, I don't think he's going to go scoreless the entire first half and then turn it on in the second half, and that's when he scores us 12. I don't think that's going to be a consistent thing for him. But I would go as far as to say him, 12 and 5 as an average on solid shooting is definitely something reliable. He's not going to average 60% from the three-point line. He's not always going to shoot 3 or 5, right? But high 30s from three-point range, mid 40s. Like if he shoots 46% from the field, 38-ish% from three-point range on 4 attempts a night, that's a Taylor Hendricks I can get behind. Because even as things get better, I don't see a world where Taylor Hendricks has to be an elite scorer, right? We don't need that of him. But if he can be a little Lauri Markkanen-esque offensively, and the fact that you swing him the rock and he shoots that ball and you feel like it's cash when it's leaving his hands, and he shoots with that level of confidence. He can also go downhill when necessary. He's great in pick and roll situations, DHOs. I want to see a couple more with him involved in them, because he does have that pick and pop element to his game, even downhill at the rim. In certain situations, could I see him playing a small ball 5? I don't know if I love it, but I definitely could see him holding his own in certain matchups. Now, there's some people where I don't think he's ready just yet, and he needs a little bit more experience. But this is the year where we're learning a lot about ourselves. And if he's going to make a lot of terrible mistakes and see a lot of low light plays, I want to see them early. I want to see them early and often this year. Just like I said that with Walker Kessler. I don't need Walker Kessler to be perfect this year. My whole thing was, Walker Kessler, I need you to make new mistakes. I need you to miss shots with confidence. I need you to go up strong as hell. I need you. The only thing efficiency wise that I was hoping that he would do was shoot better from the free throw line. And if this is replicable, right, this 4 out of 5 from the free throw line that he shot today, I'm content. Rebounding wise, shot through the roof. 14 boards in 28, 29 minutes, shot through the roof. Walker Kessler double-double was not on my parlay sheet today. But it happened, right? And then he also gave us those 5 blocks. So it was just lovely. It was just lovely. Let's see. Wash. Jazz take this game. No, it was definitely at one of our higher scoring games. It begs the question to me, what our average defensive rating will be, because I know for a fact we're not going to roll out a perfect lineup every time. That's just not happening. But giving a 126 to the Memphis Grizzlies, and they shot only 47% from the field on 91 field goal attempts, and then 37% from 3 on 45 field goal attempts. Not what I want to see, not what the doctor ordered. I would like to say that our defensive rating isn't. I'll say this: we will not have the worst defensive rating in the league this year. We might be. I'll say we'll be 27th or 28th in overall defensive rating. We'll be bad. Don't get it twisted. We're going to be bad. Like, part of it because it's the objective, part of it because we're playing a lot of young guys, part of it because a lot of guys are still learning their way around the league, and then part of it because we'll have guys like Jordan Clarkson in the lineup, because we'll have guys like John Collins, who has really good games some games, and then other games, depending on his matchup, has a really not good game. And then you have live ball turnovers, which end up affecting things. Today we were not terrible from the turnover category. We did get 14, which wasn't great, but there was no egregious turnovers to be had. So we'll see some stuff happen. We will see some stuff happen. We said Lauri, another all-star starter. It wouldn't surprise me. Now, will he have the popular? Well, Karl-Anthony Towns, never mind. I changed my mind. Karl-Anthony Towns getting shipped over to the Eastern Conference to join the New York Knicks will probably catapult Lauri Markkanen as far as all-star rankings go. For sure. Now that I think about it. Unless for some reason Naz Reid goes absolutely ballistics, which is possible, but also I don't think it's that likely. And I don't think Julius Randle's going to fill the shoes and just show up absolutely berserko mode every single game. I don't think that's possible either. It's possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. We said just off first game, do the Jazz make the playoffs? In my opinion, we make the plan. I'll say this. If we weren't prioritizing the young guys, right? and we said we wanted to win, we can definitely be a play-in team with this roster. Now, of course, this is me looking at this particular game and just extrapolating it over the entirety of the season. Now, it is a marathon, not a sprint, and we are playing the young guys. So for that reason, that and the fact that we actually said, hey, we plan on, getting a high draft pick, those things will, play a role in everything. Something in my head is kind of telling me, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, right? But in my head, I think that we will be pretty bad this year. Like we will have, I'm gonna say, I think originally in my first ever prediction, I said something crazy. I think I said like we have like 24 wins. I said we have like 28 wins, right? Which is still a dip in the Will Hardy era, not because Will Hardy's a bad coach, because this is our objective, right? I feel like we're going to have a bottom four roster in the NBA and still not get a top 5 pick. And I'm hoping I'm wrong, because if I see us play the young guys and we're bad and we're struggling and we're having poor moments, and then we end up sitting there and rolling out the most egregious lottery pick, I don't want to see us tank again. Like this is the one year. This is the one year where I'm swallowing my pride. I'm swallowing the fact that I want to watch us attempt to win every single game we play. And I'm just like, you know what? What's a loss to Ace Bailey? What's a loss to a Cooper Flag? If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see me glazing them egregiously. We'll see. I got to see some more Traore. And then we got to see the boys at Rutgers. I'm gonna be watching a lot of college basketball this year because I'm locked in. I don't enjoy tanking. I grew up a Hornets fan. I watched bad basketball. I watched us try to be good and still be bad. So I recognize that sometimes you can build through the draft. And as a team where nobody's going to willingly sign with you in free agency, you kind of have to build through the draft. And that's understandable. But at the same time, I don't want to see a world where we're like, oh, we didn't get the draft pick we wanted. You know what we're going to do? Tank again. Because clearly the odds makers aren't in your favor. Because if they were, you would have done better. And you could look at things like perhaps the Pistons, who I think over the past, is it 3 years now, have had the worst record in the league and still gone like, I think they've picked literally at fifth the past 3 years. Now that I think about it, which is crazy to think about. Regardless, they have not been top 3 despite having the worst record, which is crazy to think about because they're just rolling out hot doo-doo garbage every single game for the most part. They have a promising roster, though. Even with the veterans that they ended up picking up, obviously we sent Fontecchio over there last year, and he was able to enjoy his time. He didn't get as big of a contract as I thought he was going to get. I literally looked at the contract that he got, and I was like, dang, we weren't willing to pay him that? Like we could make that work, but yeah, maybe it was a role thing, maybe it was a fit thing, maybe it was an opinion thing. I don't know. It's just, I don't put too much thought into it. I'll say that. I don't shake about it too bad. I think the Jazz are ready to trade for a second star. It really comes down to what they really want to do. That's what it's gonna be. I love how preseason Oscar Tag said he wanted Kessler to be more aggressive. He was so good tonight. I'm hoping he can keep this up. I need him to keep this up. I flew from Colorado to go to opening night. Whoo-wee! Yo, Dink was in the building going crazy. I know that had to be an experience though, because well, aside from Keonte George just shooting as bad as he did, this was a pretty good game. This was a pretty good game. High scoring game, yes, but a pretty good game. And if you wanted a Lauri Markkanen masterclass, I mean, it doesn't get better than 35, 9, and 2, right? Shooting 60% from the field and 57% for 3-point range. It doesn't get much better than that. You know what I'm saying? That's what you pay to see on a nightly basis, right? Your team loses, dang, that's tough. But we lost and he still got to get his. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good numbers. I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of interesting stuff, LaMelo Ball, some wise analyst spoke out about the Hornets. I'm not gonna lie. I made my video that one Sunday talking about buying Hornet stock, and after watching them beat the Rockets, number one, I'm gonna touch on this very lightly because I know this isn't the thing that I usually do. Alperen Sengun, right, in 33 minutes, 25 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 1 blocks. I knew he was like that. I did not think he was like that. Jalen Green shot abysmal from the field, but he had 28 points, right? He was 9 of 23 from the field. So he was Keonte George if Keonte George was like 2% more efficient. Then you had Fred VanVleet going 4 of 18 from the field. And I'm like, how did they shoot so bad? Right? That's not normal for them. Their backcourt to shoot underneath 40% collectively, like borderline underneath 30%. That's not good. Then I looked at LaMelo Ball. 10 of 20 from the field. He was 4 of 12 from three-point range, but he was 10 of 10 from the free throw line. Brandon Miller only took 4 shots all game. Mind you, Brandon Miller was going berserko when LaMelo was out the majority of last year. And then you had Trey Mann off the bench. 8 of 16 from the field, 4 of 8 from three-point range, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. That boy went crazy. He had 24 off the bench, and LaMelo had 34 starting. An efficient 34 at that. And then he also had 8 rebounds, 11 assists, and they won that game. And I was like, don't lie to me and give me hope. I watched y'all be cheeks for so long. Don't do it again. But that's my little horn. That's my little Hornets tidbit. Love those boys out there though. I said out there like they're not like 30 minutes down the road from me. Yeah. We said right, DeJounte Murray's probably going to be out. Wow. Do you think the Jazz tank again this year? Yeah, Jackson. I think that's the picture that got painted for us this offseason, and I think that everybody is on the same page about it for once in their lives. So I figured everybody was on the same page when Will Hardy said, "I'm going to play guys that earn minutes." Number one, that's good. But he said, we're going to put emphasis on the young guys. In my head, that tells me there's going to be times where some young guys are on the court. Cody Williams is going to be on the court. Keonte is going to be on the court. When what's his name's healthy. When Isaiah Collier's healthy, he's going to be on the court. Flip's going to be on the court. And they probably shouldn't be on the court in those situations. But they need the experience. And if they lose and they shrink in the moment, it's okay because we need to lose anyways. I think that even understanding is probably going to be the thing that keeps us going, which I respect and understand. Just the consistency and overall honesty about it, because there was nothing worse than like last year watching us play, and I was like, we could be such a good team if we just did this, and then we did that one thing, and then we went on that win streak, and we're like, okay, guys, we're above 500. We're like 2 games above 500 after being down like 15 games. I'm like, yeah, we're fine. We're a good basketball team. Good at the team at the deadline. I was like, what the hell are we doing? Just an announcement and say, hey guys, we want to be cheeks this year, and then actually cheeks for once, please. Just get it over with. And this is granted, this is a great year to do it. Next year, the year after this one is going to be a solid draft, but I don't want to be cheeks 2 years in a row. Just watch guys waste their time. I don't want to see Lauri at 29 years old wasting away, right? Is he going to have his money? Yes. Is he going to be loving Utah and raising his family the way that he feels comfortable? Absolutely. But I don't look at Lauri Markkanen as a loser. I don't look at Colin Sexton as a loser. Even though Jordan Clarkson can be incredibly inefficient, I don't look at Jordan Clarkson and be like, he's a loser or he's okay with losing. I think that they recognize that it happens, but if you could sit there and tell them, yeah, we're gonna try really hard this year. We're gonna be a playing team versus, we're gonna play you guys decently, but the goal is to win 15 games. They're gonna pick the bust our asses, but only be a playing team standard, because nobody picks up a basketball and likes losing. That's you show me a happy loser, somebody that's comfortable losing, and I'll show you a loser. I'll show you a bum. And money can change, guys. Don't get it twisted. Money, you slap a few $1 million, you slap $10 million, $20 million on a table for somebody every single year, it can change some guys. And when Wemby said that one thing about how he feels like he lost some respect for some guys, or his perception of certain guys changed because when he got to the league, he realized they don't work as hard as he thought they did. I was like, I don't know who he's talking about, but I like it. I like that. I like being willing to call some random people out. We don't have to say names, but I hope somebody felt that and took it personal. Who's to say? You know what I'm saying? Do you think we're tanking for Cooper Flag or trade for a different star? If you ask James Hansen, he will glaze Cooper Flag to the ends of the earth. And rightfully so. I think Cooper Flag's a very good prospect. I love Ace Bailey, though. People will tell you Cooper Flag is the end-all be-all. Cooper Flag is very nice. But if the Ace Bailey I've seen in this very early college process is real Ace Bailey, like this is him. This is real deal him. At like 6'9", 6'10", lanky frame similar to Coop, smooth shooting motion. I trust his shooting motion more than I trust Cooper Flag's. Cooper Flag's jumper be going in too. His shot diet isn't always the best. I like Ace Bailey's shot diet. I like where he decides to. I like his bag. And when I'm thinking of now, the thing is, they both have like I'm that guy mentalities, right? They have that dog mentality, and I like both of them, right? Because when I look at our roster right now, I see Colin Sexton, and Colin Sexton has that dog mentality. Keonte George has that kind of preppy. I'm supposed to be able to do this kind of vibe, which I like. I like as well. Not in games where he shoots 3 of 18, but I like the vibe as well. But I want somebody where it's like you put the ball in his hands and we just kind of sit for a second. We give him about 4 seconds out of the shot clock. Show us something. And he shows us something. Like that's what I want. I want somebody where shot clock winding down, we put the ball in his hands, and no matter what he does with the rock, whether he drives and dishes to Lauri, drives and kicks to Taylor Hendricks, lobs it to Walker Kessler, or goes in, dunks it himself, hits a floater, whatever the case may be, we are willing to live and die by those possessions. When we draft somebody like that, I don't care who it is, I'll glaze. I'll talk crazy. I'll talk about how incredible they are, even when they're on a cold streak. I'll talk about how crazy they are. But did you see the shot though? Like it didn't go in, but did you see the shot though? Like that's the kind of time. That's the kind of time I'll be on. Some dog, you said, is losing games like this overall good for our draft prospects? If we lose enough close games, and get a good draft pick, that puts us a similar spot to OKC a few years ago. Yes. Ideally, if we're going to lose a lot of games, I would want us to lose games like this, right? I want it to be a close window. I want us to be playing to the end. I want our rookies and our second year and third year guys to get meaningful minutes. I don't want to see a world where we're just getting cooked every single game. And we're like, all right, let's pull the starters in midway through the third quarter and just say, let the bench play. Because number one, that's bad for business. Number two, you're not learning anything. You're just getting, if you're getting beat, right? If you're getting beat on, you're not learning anything. You're just trying not to get beat on and praying that it stops soon. And nobody wants that, right? If we could make it just a close game on a consistent basis, I think that would be very enjoyable. So, okay. Incognito. I feel rather similarly because Colin Sexton, I wasn't going to put too much emphasis on it, but his first half was very good. And in the second half, he didn't see very much. Now, did he have 4 turnovers? Yes, but they also had him in some creative situations. That's why I said it was surprising that he didn't take a single 3, because he only had, number one, he only had 8 field goal attempts, which is only good for fifth on the team. And then he only had 1 more than Walker Kessler and Taylor Hendricks. It was one of those things where it was like, what's going on here? And maybe it was by design, right? But it was just one of those interesting things because Colin Sexton shooting less shots and Keonte George shooting more shots. I figured that was going to happen this year. If you want to tank, giving the less efficient player more shot attempts makes sense. I didn't think this was going to be the case, though. I personally, as everybody knows, I love the idea of Colin Sexton at the point guard spot. I'm not going to get that. I'm starting to realize that they are hell bent on the Keonte George or bust. Now he was that assist to turnover ratio today was great. The efficiency shooting was not, right? So if we're scaling him on a 1-to-1, like 1 point for efficient shooting, 1 point for assist to turnover ratio, he has a 0 today, right? He gets a point for his assist to turnover ratio. He gets a point taken away because that field goal percentage, that shooting was bad, right? 7 assists, that's 7 made buckets, right? If you miss 15 buckets, I don't think that's a very rational thing to split down the middle. Um, if I'm willing to say this, if they said, you know what, I like the duo of Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen, I think it can work, and we just rode that bad boy out, I'd be ready to live and die by those consequences because I like the basketball they play. But I don't think I'm gonna get it. I don't think I'm gonna get it at any time soon. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna get it. I don't want to see Colin Sexton get traded, but in the back of my mind, I feel like each passing day, the way they're doing him and the way they play him makes it seem like they're showcasing him for somebody specific, and they're going to end up shipping him off. Not pleased about it, but I'm tired of people playing with Colin Sexton, man. I think that's what it is. I'm just tired of people playing with him. That's all. Miller got hurt. Ooh. Never mind. Yeah, that would make sense. He only played 11 minutes. Duh. I didn't see the minutes total at the time. That makes sense. Solid first game. Zay, way better than last year's. Give Key some time and less Jazz. From bro said, hey, if we try to lose, go ahead and hey, running with Key is the way to go. You're not wrong. Regarding Sexton, someone mentioned that there was an odd sub at the end of the game. Yeah. In any closing lineup, I think Colin Sexton should be on the floor if you want to win. Now, if you are pushing the losing agenda, you are pushing the play the young guys agenda, why would Colin Sexton be on the floor in a close game at the end of a game? Let the young guys get some reps. Let them play some basketball. Let them feel what it's like. Let them rise or fall on the occasion. And then you lose by 4 points. Whoopsie daisy. They'll take that shot again 2 games from now. Watch. But neither here nor there. Shoulder shrug. I would go as far as to say at the very beginning of the third quarter, there was some interesting substitutions. Even trade the best you can't have someone ball out, purposely take them out because you want to lose. That's the nature of the beast. I was actually surprised that I'm not gonna lie, Lauri specifically was so hot in the first half. I was surprised we did not sub him out. Like when he was on the floor, we were playing a little too good. I was like, are we letting this happen? Like, where are we at right now? Are we accepting this? What's going on here? And then it didn't matter because they let Keonte George shoot the lights out. They said, oh, you missed the last one? It's okay, gang. Go right down there, shoot that bad boy again. And you know what he did? Clanked again. That's exactly what he did. Then he went to the free throw line and clanked those. That's disgusting behavior, by the way. Pete, I appreciate you popping in, man. Have a good night, brother. I should hit the like button here. Yeah, appreciate you. Why did John Collins come off the bench? They're giving Walker Kessler the opportunity to prove himself. There's been a lot of trade rumors around him. He objectively has more value on the trade block than John Collins does, and he's the person that has the most questions surrounding him. We know who John Collins is. We know the efficiency he provides. We know the lineups we can run him in. Walker Kessler is one of those guys where, in theory, an aggressive Walker Kessler is not only one of the best rim protectors in the league, but he is also one of the best pick and roll characters to have. He's also one of the best DHO characters to have. He's one of the best lob threats. He's one of the best finishers at the rim. He's one of the best rebounders in the game. Now, like I said, that's if, right? Today we saw that if actually play out, and we saw that double-double. And if this is consistent Walker Kessler, then in my mind, there's no way we can say, oh yeah, John Collins, John Collins, John Collins. Like no, I can't justifiably say that. But if we see this Walker Kessler for 3 games and then Walker Kessler goes back into all Walker Kessler we saw last game for over half the season, um, then I think we have to make that switch back because Walker is basically telling you I can't I can produce in spurts, but I can't be there for you every single game. And I think that would end up probably getting him traded a little bit faster, to be honest with you. We said, I just lose so much. I'm used to it. Good jazz. Have a good night, Jackson. It's okay to lose organically, but tonight wasn't organic. Tonight shows why you absolutely should not be point guard. I mean, I think the thing is the shot diet that he had was so comical. It had to be fake. Like it could not have been intentional the way that it ended up playing out, to be honest with you. Sex is my favorite too, Texan. Dayton. Rather ship him off than do him dirty. Yeah. Mills gets too many minutes. I'll say this: the only reason Mills was getting minutes, and somebody alluded to this during the preseason, is because Isaiah Collier got hurt. Because objectively, he's taking Isaiah Collier's minutes, and we don't have somebody else that we could really put in that place. Because our only DNPs officially were Drew Eubanks, Kyle Filipowski, Svi, Potter, Shibwe, and then Preston, Juzang, and Collier were inactives. So when Collier comes back and he's healthy, he will take the Patty Mills minutes, and you will see Patty playing. The only time I think Patty will definitely play is like games we sit Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. Those, because there's going to be like 50 minutes you have to allocate somewhere. 50, 60 minutes you have to allocate somewhere. But yeah, this is a temporary thing. This is a temporary thing. We said could have gave Mills to Sexton. They're gonna do. Sorry, man. They have an agenda to push, and they're gonna get there. The one thing I will say is, the thing that burned me the most last year was false hope, believing that we were going to be a specific team and then gutting us at the trade deadline. If you plan on us not winning games, just make that the expectation. So all year I don't have hope of something better happening, and then it doesn't happen. I just want to go ahead and just wipe our hands of it, and we'll live with the results. That's my thing. Zach, what's good, my guy? You said just got off work. Hey, man. Lauri was locked in. Walker was also locked in to a whole different degree. The only person that was like objectively bad shooting the ball was probably Keonte. Jordan Clarkson wasn't great, but he was stomachable, right? 43.8% from the field and 40% from 3-point range are far from his career lows, which were what he put up last year. So definitely appreciative of that. Epic, you said strong first outing, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm not mad at it at all. Like I said, if we're gonna lose games, I want us to lose close and meaningful games. Do I love all of our substitutions at certain points? No, but I am recognizing that there's a purpose behind us making certain subs when we make them and when we don't. But like I said, you will see me embrace the tank this year and this year alone. There's no reality where we tank, we're bad, and then we get the 7th, 8th pick in the draft, and we don't get somebody that we really want, and we're like, guys, the Boozer Twins are next draft. Let's do it again. No, hell no. Please stop. Please just make us a middle of the pack team at that point. If we could trade for somebody, we could trade for somebody. If we can't, let's try and turn a late lottery pick, a 14th pick because we're a playing team, into gold, right? Let's just try and do that, because I want to be able to watch Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton play and be like, man, this is basketball, man. This is what I turn my TV on for. And right now I don't do that. I don't have that luxury, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, we're supposed to lose this game. Hey, we're supposed to lose this game. Hey, we're supposed to lose this game. It's like, yeah, somebody misses shots. Like, oh, yeah, it's not that bad. Somebody misses 7 shots. Oh, yeah, it's not that bad. Somebody shoots like Keonte George. I'm like, I mean, he didn't shoot great, but, it's not that bad. Like, that's the thought process, because the silver lining is us losing being an expectation, which I don't love. But for this year and this year only, I will accept it for what it's worth. As long as we don't have now here's the other part of it. We can't be testing things out next year. The only person that will need to be tested out is the rookie, right? Everybody else, if we're gonna tank this year, all the young guys need to make all their mistakes this year. No exceptions, right? I want to see Isaiah Collier come out one game and shoot 2 of 12 from the field and have 6 assists to 13 turnovers. That's a disgusting. Wow, that is disgusting. I don't know why I just said that. That's a disgusting stat line, right? You get the picture. But I want to see him do it this year and then never do it again. I want to see I want to see the worst version of all the young guys we have. I want to see Flip start a game and with Lauri out and he gets 32 minutes of action, shoots 2 of 9 from the field, 1 of 8 from the 3-point range, gets fried on defense. I want to see all those things this year. I want to see the worst. I don't want it to get any worse. Like, I want to be able to look back on this year and be like, yeah, that was the bottom of the bottom. Like, it never gets worse than that. Like, I will never see that version of that player again. I'm so glad. I want to be able to have that moment, if that makes sense. It's rough. It's rough. As soon as I can make a trade, as the kid is doing until the trade deadline. Yeah. That felt like Ainge tank game despite being close. Yeah. To be honest, I can see us tanking for a boozer. However, mainly because we have a 3-way swap at 26, 27. Or should be 26 anyways. And if we don't convey it, it conveys the second rounders instead. Yes, I did see that caveat, and I don't love it. I understand it. I just like watching good basketball. I think that's the thing. And like growing up as a Hornets fan, the highlight of me growing up was watching Kemba Walker, Al Jefferson, Michael Gilchrist, Nick Batum, watching those guys as my starting lineup, which back then wasn't terrible, but you also objectively knew that was not going to get you to the finals. Like, that was not happening. You were going to get cooked when we played the Heat, and we played the Heat, we got cooked, right? So, but like at the end of the day, I still believed in them, full-heartedly. So yes, but that was my thing. Like as a young kid growing up, like I just saw a bunch of guys going out there giving it everything they had, and they just lost. And that was something I was willing to go to sleep with at night, because that just taught me that as long as you give it 130%, you should be willing to live and die with that result, and sleep comfortably on your pillow. And I think that's reasonable to say. Kind of shaped the way I appreciate certain players a little bit more, because I stopped focusing so much on rings for certain guys and just started looking at them as a player. Like, when they touch the court, does it look like they love the game? Does it look like they're doing it because they need a paycheck? Like, what is the energy around a player? Are they enjoyable to watch? Not just do they play basketball, but do they really play basketball? Like, does it inspire you when they hoop? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that made sense. Just words. So I wish we had traded for DeJounte or Towns. I thought that DeJounte, when I heard that they didn't want to give up Keonte George for DeJounte Murray, in the back of my mind, I was like, I just clicked my teeth. That was all I could do, because at the time I knew Keonte George over the entirety of the season was going to be piss poor. So the thing is, over the next 2 years, Keonte George at some point has to make us say, yeah, he's objectively better than DeJounte Murray. Because if at no point during Keonte George's career we think that, we wasted the time. We wasted an opportunity. And I'm not saying DeJounte Murray is the perfect point guard, but he's definitely pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? I definitely prefer him to a lot of people. Get some other picks back, Collins or something. Oh, yeah, real. Want to tank, find a different way. You can't play one of your best players 20 minutes, especially when you're playing well. You never really know, man. It's been an all over the place affair with them. Can't boost you're a jazz man. Yo, Zach, you're foolish. I don't envy the management's job, because they've got the chance to get Ace Bailey, Cooper Flag, and AJ Camboose on the same team. Most of fans don't want to watch 2 years of this. Exactly. Like it would be different if we were winning last year and the year before, and we were just like, we just weren't good enough, right? And then we were like, hey guys, now we're gonna tank. Then I'd be like, yeah, okay. We tried it and it didn't work, right? We can't even say we tried it. That's the thing that gets me. I think that's the thing that keeps bothering me. Like after we blew it up and we had we sent away Rudy Gobert, we sent away Donovan Mitchell. We never tried with the guys that we got. We're like, oh, these guys are pretty decent. Let's tank. like that was the whole motto. It's like, bro, wait, what? But I mean, it happens. Yeah, well, it did happen. It shouldn't happen, but it did. Yeah, teammates, because at the end of the day, the result will be a loss of fans. At heart, don't want to watch the loss, Yeah, you're absolutely right. The thing is, like, tanking is a weird thing because, like, objectively, if you are a bad team, you need good players to make your team watchable and to help people, to help bring in money. But if you're too bad of an organization, it doesn't matter what player you get, you're still going to be a bad organization. And similarly, you don't want to have to lose games just to get help. And for small market teams, that's what the reality ends up becoming. Because let's face it, name a time in history where somebody said, "Man, I can't wait I want to go to Charlotte." Nobody says that. Nobody says, "Man, Milwaukee, I want to go to Milwaukee." The only reason people want to play in Milwaukee is because of Giannis. If Giannis left Milwaukee or was never there, Dame would be disgusted at the thought of going to Milwaukee. Like, what is Cleveland without LeBron realistically? Nothing. Nothing at all. But I mean, it's a rough world for us out here. And then when you take into account the fact of like it would be different if it was like a bidding war for players and certain players, like whoever was willing to pay them the most, they didn't care what the place was, they didn't care what the nightlife was like, what the environment was like business wise, they would be willing to go. That'd be different, right? But like even under the new CBA restrictions and stuff like that, yes, they can pay players, but it's hard to convince somebody who's been in Miami, somebody who's been in Los Angeles, somebody who's been in New York, hey, come to this city that you have never been to in your life and you've never considered visiting on vacation before in your life and stay a while. We'll pay you just as handsomely as everybody else can, but we want you to help us win. It's hard to sell that dream to some guys, to a lot of guys, to be quite frank, and it sucks. But Murray fractured his hand. I was really looking forward to seeing how the Pelicans ended up spanning out this year. Almost gave nothing for Murray. I feel like we could have gave them Clarkson 2 or 3 picks. They would have accepted, sold him for a bag of Doritos. They did. They definitely did. They traded him for half of what they ended up originally getting. Yeah. But like I said, I said I was only going to be live for like 30 minutes. We definitely went for a whole hour just vibing out, man. Didn't want to take up too much of you lovely gentlemen's time, but first game back in the NBA season. I'm going to try and make sure that we stream the majority of games just like we did last year. The only games that I probably won't be able to go live for is probably the ones that we have on Sundays. But outside of that, we should be on it. And we'll just vibe out, man. We'll just vibe out and have fun. You know what I'm saying? Or is as much fun as we can. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Epic, you're right. they do tend to run long regardless. Hey, we were in a window though. I think an hour is not too crazy. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? And as always, it's been your boy Wraith Hoops. No matter where you're on the globe watching, thanks for tuning in. Good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you're on the globe watching. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.